Hey there, YouTube! This is Wakeangel2K1. Now, after doing all of my Sonic figures, I put a poll up on my DeviantArt gallery asking my fans which character they'd like to see me review next. The only figures that I have a large quantity of representations of... That was terrible. The sentence I should have said is the only character that I have lots of figures of, and then I should have pluralized characters. I'm just all over the place today. Are Knuckles, Tails, and Shadow. So I'll put up a poll to see who would want to see reviews of them, and Shadow won. The thing is that I really don't have as many figures of Shadow as I have of Sonic, and all of them are from series that you've already seen, so there really wouldn't be anything new, at least not engineering-wise. This is the Joyride Studios Bendy, the Toy Island Superposer, the Jazzwares Urban Vinyl, and the All-Stars Racer Motorcycle. So, how about I just do a good old shotgun review and show you all four of them in this one video and, you know, get them out of the way. So, let's get them out of the packaging in basically chronological order. And here is the Joyride Studios Shadow figure. He is pretty much exactly like the Joyride Studios Sonic figure in that he is a bendy, although there are a couple of improvements since this one was made second. First of all, being that they made him face forward, he's not looking off to the left, which really helps with more poses that you would want to put him in. And his arms and legs are more flexible than the Sonic bendies. Again, making it a little easier to pose him. Just like the Sonic one, he comes with a base that has his name on it, and the Sonic Adventure 2 battle logo. And he has holes in his feet, but unlike Sonic, who had 4 holes, 2 so you could put him in a running stance, and 2 so you could put him in a standing stance, Shadow only has 2. They are strictly made expressly for the running stance. And also he has one of his hands is molded in a pointing gesture. I think it was intended to set up a display where Sonic is standing off to his side looking back at him and laughing, and Shadow is like running behind him pointing at him like, "Get back here, you!" Either that or that's the gesture of shooting a chaos spear. I don't think so. Or maybe this is a teaser for his upcoming solo game, Shadow the Hedgehog. He knew that he'd be using guns in the future and was giving people a secret hint at that. Okay, so that is the Shadow figure. Like I said, there's not much to him because he's a bendy. Aside from the flexible joints that, you know, there's wires contained in rubber, there's only separate pieces his head, which actually is a little bit expressive. It can look up and down as well as left and right, because, you know, it's a ball in there. And the sculpting on his feet is actually really nice. He has you know, Shadow's air shoes with see the holes. You can see how it has the soap shoe thing going on there. You know, lots of nice little details. But, you know, it's a bendy, and bendies are prone to having the wires inside snap, so you never want to be too rough with them. So this really was my only Shadow figure for a long time, because I sat through most of the Toy Island line without buying any of them until they finally made a figure that the articulation matched my desires. So let's move on to that one. And here is the Toy Island Shadow Superposer. Like with Sonic, the only difference between him and the later Jazzwares re-release of this Superposer is that the eyes aren't painted right. Again, the irises are slanted to avoid intersecting with the brow ridge, although it's not as obvious on Shadow as it was on Sonic. You can still notice it though. He has a lot of articulation. His ears move, his spines move, so you can actually curl them down. And look, the insides of the joints are actually red, so it still looks like he has the stripes even when you move them. That's nice. Although I really don't see much reason to do this because Shadow Spines didn't really move that much in the game. It's like he styled them with a lot more mousse than Sonic did. He has the universal shoulders, he has the elbow, he has universal wrists, and the only difference between him and Sonic, besides the curl of the spines, his hands are molded so that they curl into fists. Although this makes it look awkward when he opens them. But, you know, they look okay as fists. You can probably see that his joints are significantly floppier. I think floppy joints was a bit of a QC issue. It's a minor miracle I got him to stand as long as I did while I was talking about him. You know, if you can get some floor polish in those joints to tighten them up, then it'd probably be great. Of course, there's some sacrifice of detail. He only has one little rocket on his toe, and the bottom of the rest of his foot is blank, and there's no soap indentation. So, you know, they kind of got lazy with his feet. But other than that, oh yes, and he has the same problem of the fact that his legs go out instead of forward. Although there is kind of a diagonal cut there, so when you push it up, it is in front of him. Although if you bend his knee, you find that it bends inward. I'm kind of... Wait. But, you know what? You can still kind of forgive him because he can ride or kick. And I just cannot stay mad at any toy that can ride or kick. So, that's the Shadow Superposer. You know, he's a super articulated figure, a little bit floppy. Might want to get some floor polish or super glue in those joints to make them a little stiffer so he can stand better. He lacks detail in the feet and his eyes are painted weird, but he's a really good figure, really good shadow figure, especially on this size scale. I really would have to take a closer look at the Jazzwares re-release of the Superposer, because I'm not sure if the hands are sculpted the same, but I'm pretty sure there isn't much significant difference in the paint apps, in the sculpting. The differences come in the paint apps, especially around the eyes. So let's move on to the next one. Hey, fun fact. Did you know that of my entire wardrobe, I can count on one hand the number of shirts I own that don't have some kind of cartoon character or slogan on them? I say this because it's time to show the hipster figure, the Shadow Juvie, the Jazzwares Urban Vinyl. What you're looking at is pretty much exactly the same as the Sonic Juvie, with his little painted-in shading. And again, the soles of the feet are plain, but you know, with the minimalist styling that goes into a Juvie, that's actually more forgivable. He has his stripes, his red stripes on his legs and his arms, and since he has stripes on his head, he doesn't have misplaced shine like the Sonic Juvie did, so it doesn't look like he has stripes that he shouldn't have, except on his two back spines, which have light highlights to look like they're shiny, but actually just makes it look like he has white stripes on his back spines and tail. It's hard to line up the light so you can see the stripe on his tail, but it's there. It's there. Again, from the front, the face doesn't really look like much. When you look at it from slightly below, as if it's on a shelf above you, you can see he has a little grimace with a little sharp canine tooth showing. And his eyes, they're red, but they are really, really dark red. Like, so red that they almost look black anyway. But, you know, in the style of the Urban Vinyl, he still looks good. He has his short little arms on swivel joints. He has a swivel jointed neck, which is kind of hard to move because his spines hit his shoulders so easily, and a swivel jointed waist, which you can't move too far because then that happens. But you know, it's an urban vinyl. I got the whole collection of these guys, and yeah, they all look pretty silly in all their super deformed glory. Well, there's only one left, so let's take a quick look at that one too. And here is the Sonic and Sega All-Stars Racer Shadow motorcycle. Now, this motorcycle does have a working kickstand built into the bottom of it, which in principle works, and it works on a desk, but here on my bed, I guess, on this piece of cardboard I'm using as a stage, there just isn't enough friction. So I can get this thing to stand on my desk or the floor or anywhere, but here I just can't seem to get the kickstand to work. This is not the shadow figure that came with it. The initial run of this particular line of figures had shoddy construction, shall we say, and basically, long story short, the shoulder was really stupid, so I took the hands off and put them on the shadow figure that I already had. This is actually the first edition shadow figure, the first one you could buy in stores, and I gave him the holding things hands. They're just modified fists with a nice big gap in the middle, and the you know, he's just like Sonic with the Speed Stars, my definitive Sonic. This is my definitive 3-inch shadow. Again, aside from the holding things hands, there is nothing different between this and you know, any other 3-inch shadow figure, which I believe, let's see, there was the initial run, which is technically this one, the All-Stars Racer release, which is where the hands come from. Then there's the Generations release, which came with the Mono Beetle, and the glossy paint sparkly release in the Shadow and Silver 2-pack, which I suppose is supposed to represent Shadow in his Chaos mode from Sonic 2006. And yeah, I believe that's all of them. 4 re-releases of this character. A 5th one to come soon when he is released in the 2-pack with Rouge the Bat. But you know, he's Shadow. He's one of the most popular characters besides Sonic himself, and I think more people actually identify Shadow as the next most popular character over Knuckles or Tails, which I really don't think he deserves that. I mean, I like Shadow. You know, I think Shadow is pretty cool, but you know, I don't think that he's cooler than any of the other characters. Oh well. Anyway, everyone knows what the shadow figure is like. Let's look at the motorcycle and see what makes it special. Aside from one little screw, the screw holes are on this side. The other side is nice and clean. The design is really nice. I'm not sure if this is supposed to be a motorcycle from Sonic 2006 or a motorcycle from Shadow the Hedgehog. Given the fact that it's not covered in superfluous missile launchers and doesn't flip over when it hits a pebble on the ground, it's probably not the one from 2006. It has the steering column is made flexible so that Shadow can hold it, but it does have working steering, which is pretty cool. And the paint application on it is simple but effective. There's like a silvery sheen. I'm not sure if that's the color of the plastic or if they painted it for all the engine block and exhaust pipes. The back of the motorcycle is black with red highlights, and if you let me zoom in here, we can see that he has the Shadow the Hedgehog logo on the fuel tank. Yeah, that's pretty cool. That's the logo from his solo title. And you know, this. Oh, and the tires are actual rubber, and they spin really well. Too bad that there's like no training wheels or something, because it actually doesn't stand. So even though it has such nice rubber wheels, it technically can't roll. But it's a really nice motorcycle. It has foot pads for Shadow's feet to go. And Shadow can ride it pretty well when I'm not... if I wasn't wearing a wristband, a splint that was hampering the movements of my right hand. You just gotta, play around with his legs a bit. But, Shadow can look pretty good riding his motorcycle. Nice and convincing. I mean, maybe if they made a hole in the seat for his tail to go through, it would work even better. But the way it stands, Shadow looks pretty convincing riding the motorcycle, and for an accessory that's basically supposed to be exactly that, it looks pretty good. So the All-Stars Racer vehicle, despite not really being one of the vehicles that we really want to see, I mean, let's face it, there are two vehicles that we really want to see Jazzwares make. That's Dr. Robotnik's Egg Pod and Tails' Tornado. Anything else, there's really not a lot of demand for, but it seems that we live in Bizarro world, It's a land where the things that everybody wants and would buy like hotcakes don't get made, while the things that only appeal to fringe elements get made like nobody's business. But still, it's a cool motorcycle. I'd say about 6 inches long. Yeah. Nice. So those are my Shadow toys. Next time on Wakeangel2K1 reviews, I might go into Knuckles or perhaps Tails. Or, you know what, maybe I'll do something that's not related to Sonic. Who knows? I can't make any customs or even draw with this thing on. I mean, I may be left-handed, but, I still need this. You know how hard it is to work a mouse with this? So until next Friday, when my arm is out of the splint, I will be seeing you. Perhaps with vlogs and more toy reviews and things that don't require me to use my hand too much. Okay, Toy Customizer Wakeangel 2001, signing out.